Hello, this is a quick guide as to how to copy, set up, and use the online attendance sheet. The first thing you need to do is need to make your own copy of it. When I say your own copy, I do mean that you need to make one copy for the entire school that you're working within. You will notice that there's two different files here. There is a Google form and there's a Google Sheet. You need to make a copy of the Google Sheet and not the Google form. In order to make a copy, you right click on the sheet and you go down to make a copy. The reason why you're making a copy of the sheet and not of the Google form is because when you create a copy of the sheet, it will automatically create a Google form that is linked to that particular sheet. As you can see here, it has made a copy of the sheet as we asked it to, and it has also made a copy of the form that is now linked to your copy of the sheet. The next thing you need to do is you need to move this. So you want to move your two copies and you want to move them to your own drive. In order to do that, you mark both of them like this. You right click on them and then you say move to. Now you can decide where you want to move them to. I recommend that you move them to your own drive, and in your own drive you create a folder, for example, called registration, and that's a place to put them. The other thing that might be quite a good idea is to rename them. In order to rename them, again, you go into the individual file, you right click on them, and you go in and say rename. It might be that you want to, for example, say that instead of template, you put in, for example, Inches Primary School. Now, when you have done that, then you can see that obviously that is linked directly to your one. Now, the next thing is to have a look at how do we set this up. So the first one you want to set up is you want to set up the form. The form looks like this when it's in the editing mode. So you can go in and change the name, you can go in and make a description of what you want it to be called or what you want to say. The next thing is that it's included a date. You can choose to have a date or you can choose not to have a date. The next thing is the different classes, so that they attend the specific classes that you want to do the register for. These can go in and be edited as well. You can just delete the ones or you can rename them. It might be that you, for example, only have one P1 class and then it's just deleting one of them. Take that away and then take the one away, or the A away, and then you have a P1. And that's how simple that is. You can also add further if you need to add further classes. At the bottom here, you will see that there's two sort of ways to check in. You can either say, yes, I'm ready for action, or no, I'm unwell today. So obviously these two are the registration. If they click yes, it will show up in your sheet as being green. If they click no, then they will show up in the sheet as being red. The second session of the registration is then emotional check-in. The emotional check-in is done in 3 languages: English, Gaelic, and French. And it has a pictorial representation and the worded representation here. And there is a series of different emotions that they can check in as. The last thing in the registration is that they have an option to go in and explain why they're feeling in a certain way. This is not a compulsory section and they can opt out from doing it. So that is how you can go in and edit the various different things. If you want to have different pictures as well, you can just go in and actually remove a picture and then insert another picture. It is your choice how you want to set it up. The last thing is then the actual sheet. When pupils are inserting or registering in the morning, you will see that they show up something like this. Now, you will obviously have way more data in your school because you might have the whole school registrating in the same document, and that will generate a lot more data. But just to give you an overview over how it works, this is how it works. If they have said, yes, I'm ready for action, you can see that it then shows up as being green. You can also see that it automatically collects their email address. Now in this case, obviously it's only my email because I'm the only one who has entered anything. The date that they put in the beginning is showing up here, and the class is showing up here. The emotional check-in shows up over here, and any positive emotions will show up as green, and any sort of negative emotions or not so good emotions show up in red. If there's any explanations, it will show up over here. Now, this will be a very, very difficult document to administer if you do not use the filters. So when you have a whole school entry, and especially over weeks of collecting these data, it will become very difficult to sort of view your own class. And therefore, there's also created these filters. What you want to do first is you want to go in and select the date that you want to find the register for. So if you go up here to date and click this little button, you will see you get an option to choose a specific date. You can clear all the ones by doing this, clicking clear, and then you could select, I only want to say, let's say entries for the 23rd. And then when you click that, you can see that it's only the 23rd of March that shows up. The next thing you want to do is then you want to find your own class, for example, or if you're at a school clerical, you might go in and say, I need to figure out who has attended from a certain class. So you go into this button under class and you select, I only want to, you can clear first, and then I only want to see entries for P5A, for example. And then you click OK, and then you will see you only see entries for P5A. This is the way you sort of set this up. Just to give you an overview over how the actual form works, I will also show you that. The form looks like this. So when they're in here, they go in and select the date that they want to do. For example, the 23rd. They go in and select what class are they in. So we can go in and say P5B. And then they can say whether or not they're ready to learn or not. So if we just put no, for example, and then we go to the next session. When we go into the next sessions, we come to the emotional check-in. And this is where they could go in and, for example, say, oh, I'm sad today because I'm not in school, for example. And if they want to explain that, they could say, I am sad because I can't attend school today. And then they can press submit, and then it will automatically just have submitted, and you will also notice that here it shows up. Oof, right, so they are unwell and they are sad, and it says here why they're sad. So that's how simple that works. Thank you.